will come back for the second. India have won the test match. India have won the series. They're going to get back for two. India home.
Hello and welcome to a new episode of the 81 All Out podcast. This is Siddhartha Vaidyanathan at Sidvi on Twitter. And I have a couple of regulars with me today. Ashoka at ABVan on Twitter, voice of the people, troller of KD, etc., etc. Hi, Ashoka. Nice to see you.
Hi, KD. And hi, Sidvi.
Hi. And yeah, we also have Kartikeya Date, who is at Cricketing View on Twitter, tweeter, writer, essayist, game changer, shapeshifter. Okay, forget it. Yeah, hi, Katie.
Hi.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, regular listeners will be aware of both Ashoka and Kartikeya, and if not, I'll also link Kartikeya's Substack. You can read the articles, and I'll link some relevant articles about our discussion. So this is going to be a review podcast. This is about the Bangladesh v India series that just finished. 2 test series, India won 2-0, but there was quite a bit to discuss, especially in the second test. I mean, the first test was a comprehensive win. The second test was much closer, and Bangladesh was actually at one point seemingly the favorites. India pulled it off thanks to a fine partnership between Shreyas Iyer and Ashwin right at the end. But initial thoughts, impressions of the series. I must admit that I caught quite a bit of the second test, but I didn't really catch as much of the first test as I would have liked. I'm traveling in India at the moment, so I missed a part of it due to my social obligations, as one usually has when one is traveling here. But Ashoka, initial observations. Who should be sent to Mars? Who should be sent to Venus?
Now, before all that, we have to make the important cricketing point here. CSK made the buy of the century by purchasing Ben Stokes. So that is the overarching point that we are going to discuss throughout this podcast.
This is the headline.
Yeah. So the rest of it is all there was an India-Bangladesh series. Like, some people saw it, some people were happy with it, most people weren't. But it's an India-Bangladesh series, and it is Test cricket. I mean, who cares? So let's talk about the auction.
Ashoka, let's be honest. Even if you want to talk about the auction, let's be honest. MI is going to just smash every team around. They have got the biggest hitters around, and nobody can even compete with them.
They have got 17 players who get injured every second ball. So they are not going to do anything. Okay. Don't worry. Okay, anyways, let's start for real. This is as comprehensive a test win or series win for India as it gets, even with all the second test madness where India were very close to losing a test. But in the end, I mean, the pitch eased out after and this is something that is happening to India while they are batting now. It used to happen to India while they were bowling, and they were at the receiving end of this kind of pitch easing out and them trying their hardest to win. For a change, it has happened when they're batting, and they won. So that's a nice thing. But overall, the first test, I think Bangladesh were not even in the same frame as India in terms of competence. Second test, they actually did well. In the second innings when they bowled. Even in the first innings, they were 213 for 5, and then they collapsed to 227. So overall, I would say it was a comfortable series for India, and it was also, in the sense that India were challenged, but not to the extent that there were upsets. India were lacking their key players like Rohit, Bumrah, Jadeja, and in preparation for the Australian tour, they wanted some sort of a contest. I think they got it. They got a good contest here.
I think you're going a bit too light on them. I mean, given the conditions, given the position and the first test win. I would have expected a similar route in the second. Yes, Bangladesh fought back, this and that, but come on. I mean, first of all, Bangladesh were effectively 26 for 6 in the second innings, and they couldn't close them out. And also chasing 145, I mean, I don't think required this much of sweat and toil and all that. But anyway, I guess.
But see, that's the thing, right? So in the first test, I mean, India had the bowling and the conditions were not, that conducive for chances to happen that frequently. Only by having an excellent bowling attack could you even induce those many chances. Bangladesh didn't have that in the first test. In the second test, the odds were slightly evened out. I mean, the pitch was helping them. There was turn. I mean, there was not uneven bounce. There was not, any kind of demons in the pitch as such. But it was a typical subcontinental pitch. It started wearing out as days progressed, and there was turn. And Bangladesh actually have the attack to, capitalize on these conditions. And fair enough, they did really well. I'm saying that this is not, if you go by the reactions to these two tests, you would think that India lost the series 0-2. And that's not what happened is the point. The point is India were fairly comfortable in winning these two tests. And to expect a team to rout the opposition every time is, I find it kind of, counterintuitive to watching the sport. No, you're watching the sport for the contest. And if there is a contest, you should be happy about it. And, you got a contest in the second test. So what more do you want?
I am very happy with the second test. I thought it was very entertaining and it was great. It was very tense. And yeah, I mean, as a contest, I have no complaints about it. But I just wanted to say that there is a popular sort of saying that if the husband and wife stay together for a really long time, then the husband and wife start becoming like each other and start looking like each other also. So now I think, Ashoka, you're sounding more and more like KD after spending many, many years trolling him. So let me bring KD in. Maybe he will start speaking for the masses and say the whole squad should be dropped or something like that.
But they won 2-0 in 2 tests.
Yeah,
I don't think you can do better than that. No, you can't really do much better than 2-0 in 2 tests. So they did quite well. Bangladesh are an interesting and deceptive side, I think, because you look at their players from 1 to 11, and you see, I mean, their batting order, with, Mominul, Shakib, Mushfiqur, and Liton Das, that's a really nice middle order. That's probably, I mean, it's definitely their best middle order yet since they started playing Test cricket in 2000. And it's a genuinely good middle order. It's as good a middle order as any in it doesn't suffer in comparison with a solid mid-table middle order. And you look at their spin attack for Bangladesh conditions, those 3 finger spinners that they have, Taijul, Mehdi, and Shakib, are quite a handful. And there are 3 of them, and that gives them a lot of depth. That means that they don't have to rely on any sort of part-timers to deliver, easy overs, which they used to have to do a lot like 5-10 years ago, let alone 15 years ago. And now their fast bowling also, Ibadat is quite quick. And so what struck me was like you compare with the attack Bangladesh offered in these 2 tests, and you compare it with the attack Pakistan has offered to England in the tests over there. And amazingly enough, the Bangladesh attack is actually probably better, definitely more experienced at test level. And I never thought that there would be a time when you could say that about a Bangladesh attack compared to a Pakistan attack. But that's true. And I think one of the things that struck me about Bangladesh is that with COVID, Bangladesh and the teams lower down the table, their schedules were disrupted a lot more than, say, India's schedule or England's schedule. And, their test schedule is, as it is, quite thin, and it became even thinner. I think they lost a little bit in those 2 years. And this year, they've made up for it. And they've struggled. I think they've lost 10 out of their last 12 test matches now. Against New Zealand, West Indies, Sri Lanka, India, etc., etc. But a lot of those tests, a lot of these players have not always been available. And now it felt like something is coming together for Bangladesh. Some core squad is coming together for Bangladesh. And I think there will be a handful for, especially now they found this lefty opener who looks quite compact and, he made a really nice 100 in the first test. So I think that, Bangladesh are definitely improving, but they're improving from a very, very low floor at the moment. And I think part of the improvement is getting their players back. Part of the improvement is for example, Shakib in the middle had sort of, taken a break from Test cricket, etc., etc. He seems to be back and he's doing well. And I don't know what the situation with Tamim Iqbal is, but it doesn't seem to matter because Shanto and Zakir are quite good. So Bangladesh are a solid, going to be a solid side if they can stay together. And looking at the ages of their players, it looks like they probably could stay together for like 3-4 years at least until like Shakib is done. So with India, it's the same old story, I mean, they play 5 batsmen and they score just enough runs for their bowlers to blow the opposition away. That's what happened.
That's all a fine point. But I just want to step back on that Pakistan versus Bangladesh point. I mean, it's also a question of how the batting team reacts. No, I mean, Pakistan were up against an England side that had a certain, mindset and took a certain number of chances against them. I mean, I don't want to use that B word, which is so often used and which the coach himself doesn't like. But okay, let's say it. I mean, with the baseball approach, with England, when the chances come off, that bowling attack automatically starts looking important. But I don't think India took as many chances in the second test as they could have, and definitely not in the chase. I mean, so that's also a function of that, no?
Yeah, yes or no. I mean, I don't think Pakistan's bowling weakness was started with England. I mean, they played Australia and they were absolutely hopeless with the ball against Australia. I mean, and that was when they had Naseem Shah and Shaheen Afridi playing for them.
Yeah, but those pitches, I don't think any bowling attack is going to.
These England pitches are part of the problem for Pakistan this year. Has been that the pitches they've dished out have been just roads. I mean, it's just absolute roads. It reminded me of those 2006 tests. You covered those, I think, no? Where
yeah.
Enormous scores and no future in any of those test matches. And then there was one test match in, I think it was Karachi, where it was actually a green
where
pitch.
Asif basically bowled India out. Yeah.
But the thing is, Pakistan's problem is that Abrar was one decent bowler, and he's not like he is not like a world beater or anything like that. He's new. He's just starting out, and he's a leg spinner. And who's bowling from the other end? You have to have like 4 good bowlers, no? Otherwise, you're always going to give like easy spells for the opposition to milk. And if you want to play like Pakistan are playing, then you have to pair like turners, no? Because otherwise you're going to get slaughtered. Everybody scores quickly in Pakistan. That's something you look at the figures and you realize that everybody scores at 3.5, 4 an over in Pakistan. And in England have picked this very powerful lineup, powerful in the sense capable of big hits. And they're taking that up to like 5 for this 4 and 3/4, 5 for the series. I mean, I would like to see actually England towards Bangladesh and have to play on those, especially the second test pitch, that kind of pitch against these 3 finger spinners Bangladesh have got.
And to say, I mean, these 3 finger spinners are all 130 to 200 wickets old. They are not new. Yeah.
They are not newbies. Yeah, exactly. Now they know what's what. I mean, Bangladesh have squared series against Australia and stuff in Bangladesh, right? So they're not the pushovers they were 10 years ago. But I mean, coming to India, I don't know what we learned anything new about India. Yeah, they have. It's only 2 tests and only 4 innings. It's not unusual for batsmen to fail in 4 innings out of 4. and a few of them did.
What are you saying? We learned who all to drop, man, and the list is growing.
Just imagine Pujara, Kohli, KL Rahul, and Rohit wasn't there. But okay, take another batsman because Shubman Gill wasn't around that time. Playing this attack in, say, 2016 or 2017. Come on. I mean, there is a clear vein in which they are playing spin, man. I mean, it's very obvious. I mean, you mean to say Cheteshwar Pujara is the same player against spin that he was, say, 5-6 years ago, or Virat Kohli is the same batsman that he was 5-6 years ago? I doubt it.
Didn't he make 190 in the first test?
Yeah, he did. But I'm talking about like the manner in which he used to tackle the spinners. No, it's not just the way you play. I mean, it's also like the what you bring to your batting. I mean, okay, Pujara was the man of the series. I don't know why, but okay, he was the man of the series. But you mean to say KL Rahul and Virat Kohli are the same? We didn't learn anything about them when they batted against spin?
I don't know. If you ask me, if you reverse the batting order and put Shreyas Iyer at 3 or 1 or 2 or 3 and put Kohli at 6, then Kohli will be the guy making the 40 not out. You let Kohli and Pujara bat against the old ball against these bowlers on these pitches, and they'll score plenty of runs. You cannot tell me that the three Bangladeshi bowlers who looked so effective when the ball was hard and new and zipping off the pitch. It was just a perfect match for how much it was turning and how irregularly it was turning, and how much pace they were able to generate off the pitch when the ball was new. And when the ball got slightly older, about 30-35 overs, this is, I think, something Ashwin also observed. They stopped being able to generate that pace, and suddenly the bowlers went off the boil. It's not that. No,
I'm just saying. But over the course of the year, I'm just saying you cannot. There has to be some manner in which you either say the players are going through a rough patch, or that their sort of eye is slightly slower, or that their performance is not as good as it was, or perhaps that it can be if you have 2 or 3 other new players coming in.
This is the same dispute we had with Ajinkya Rahane, right? And I continue to think that there's no evidence to suggest that there is a player right now waiting to break into the test team who is miles ahead of whoever is already in the test team. Because whoever is already in the test team has got into the test team by doing precisely what the players who are currently waiting to get into the test team are currently doing. That there isn't. Where's the VVS Lakshman type, player who's like?
Isn't Sarfaraz Khan doing that?
Well, Sarfaraz Khan is doing that. I think Sarfaraz Khan will probably make the squad in whatever, unless there is a view about him which says that he's like there's something about him which makes him a domestic monster who's not likely to translate his figures against better bowling.
Or if there's a view about his fitness.
That's also possible. I mean, these days they are very, very yo-yo test fanatics, no? I mean, in India. And to be fair to the Indian management, that has actually really helped them.
But there has to come a time when you also say that, it's not just about performance. No, it's not also about age. And as a selector and as a captain or whatever, whoever is making the decision, you also have to see if a player's eye is sort of getting that little bit slower, or if a player's reflexes when they're playing against spin is getting slower. How were they batting when they were batting? How were they when they were coming down the track, say 3 years ago? And has that changed? And if that has changed,
I'm sure they are doing that. I mean, I'm sure Rahul Dravid is very, very worried about why Virat Kohli is not making runs. I mean, it's not exactly a revelation, no, that Virat Kohli is not making runs at the level that he used to 5-6 years ago. But so what? I mean, they're still winning, and there isn't anything to suggest that whoever new player comes in will make runs at number 3 or number 4 or whatever it is.
Okay, now next year India are playing Australia at home for a series of 4 tests, all right? And by then the Ranji Trophy season would have sort of gone on and it would have proceeded. There would have been a lot of players who are scoring runs, and there would be like 1 or 2 players who are batting in the middle order for their teams who are like scoring a ton of runs, okay? And then when you're playing a series at home in conditions that are similar to what these players have seen through the season, and when they're scoring bucket load of runs, there is is a case to be made that they can play for one of them, no, or two of them.
Yeah, but if that happens, then I'd be very surprised if there isn't a change in the squad. But I think what will happen is that Virat Kohli and all these people will go back to the Ranji Trophy and make runs as well.
No chance Virat Kohli is going back. That's another problem. I don't think him or maybe Rahul, but I don't.
When is the last time Virat Kohli played a Ranji Trophy match? I would be surprised if it's any time in the last 10 years.
When is the last time he had any time to breathe?
Exactly. So that is also a problem, right?
We all jest that these guys should be dropped when we, in our chats and whatnot. But the point, the fact of the matter is your number 4 batsman who has played 100 tests, in his last 20 tests, averages 26.20. Now you can say that this has been the golden age of bowling, but that golden age of bowling is not a bubble that follows 1 or 2 batsmen. No, it is applicable everywhere. Everyone is exposed to that golden age of bowling. And because teams we are seeing are like having good bowlers and they generally have good depth. And a lot more test matches end in results than they end in draws. So if you take all of them as, accepted rules, then if one batsman is having a tough time of it, whereas his contemporaries or peers have, slightly better time of it, there is a question to be asked that, is this the number 4 that we want? Or is there some kind of a problem that he has? Maybe they're addressing all that. Maybe they're discussing all that. Maybe it is or maybe it isn't. But it is a legit question for someone who watches the game to be asking, saying that if this guy is, if fair enough that this guy is one of the greatest bats from this country.
Fine. Ashoka, that's fine. It's a legit question to be asked. It's actually, I completely agree with that. But that's not the question that's being asked. No, that the point that's being put is that when there are so many obviously talented players waiting to get a spot, why stick with him?
I get the point. I get the point that when you're outside the team, you're automatically there is a glow to your performances. And the fact is that you are playing against slightly weaker bowling attacks in the Ranji Trophy. All that is fine. But okay, now I want to get to the observation part of it. Okay, I agree that Pujara scored runs, and I agree about, you can make the case that this guy got a great ball, this guy got a tough ball. The ball was hard and it was spinning. All that is fine. But purely from my observation, I felt that someone like Shreyas Iyer was playing spin much better than any of the top 4 batsmen. Gill played well in that first test. The highlights that I saw, it was very good. And Gill is generally a very good player, I think, against both pace and spin. So I'm very hopeful that he will do it. But Shreyas Iyer was getting, the way he was getting forward and back against spin, it just was complete. It was not in the same sort of, the other batsman was not in the same kind of authoritative against spin. I don't know. Did you guys feel the same?
He played against the older ball, no?
Yeah, but it's also a manner of getting in. Or you're saying it came slower to him?
Yeah. Ashwin also played really well against spin.
Ashwin is a good bat. That's what Ashwin also.
He's not in Pujara's class as a bat. Come on.
Yeah, he's not. Yeah, he's not. That's what I'm looking at and saying. I'm observing the difference, right?
So even for Bangladesh, when the ball got old, they played better. No, Liton Das looked so much better than Mushfiqur or whoever or Shakib. Liton Das is not that much better than Shakib. No?
Thanks for reminding me. I think Kohli should be dropped because he dropped 5 catches. I think that is another.
Now that you remind
me,
that's in the talking points.
First of all, Kohli should not even be fielding the slips. I don't know. This Indian slip cordon is infuriating, man. They have not found a slip cordon after. Imagine
you guys said it's your fault. You guys made Ajinkya Rahane leave the Indian Test team, no? He's the slip fielder. Ajinkya Rahane was like from central casting as the guy who's like tiny, dapper, always perfectly creased clothes.
Ajinkya Rahane was a fantastic slip fielder.
Anywhere,
But the
never
problem
runs
with this
anywhere,
Indian
stands in the
team,
slip quietly, smugly. He was perfect. Now you changed him,
he
replaced
was
him
very
with this
good.
guy. You replaced him with Kohli, who's like a
No,
cat on a hot tin roof.
yeah, and he should not be standing in the slip cordon. And also, Ajinkya Rahane was very good. I totally agree. But this Indian team has this sort of musical chairs with the slip cordon. Man, I don't get it. Why can't you just have first slip, second slip, third slip, gully? Like if you have played domestic cricket for a certain period of time and if you have played test cricket for a certain period of time, you have a certain fielding position. So just stick to it. No, why you keep putting these people in slip, putting them here, putting them there? Suddenly Pujara will go in slip, then he will come out of slip. Then there's Rahane. There is no, like there used to be a time, at least as far as I remember, that Dravid Lakshman used to be constant in terms of slips, right?
Yeah, that's because he never could run, man.
Yeah, but even they were exceptional slip fielders, man. Dravid against spin was very good, and Lakshman at second slip was good.
I remember
Sachin was a
them
bad
both
slip
dropping.
fielder.
I remember them dropping plenty of catches.
They dropped catches, but they were better than Kohli. I think that much you can admit.
I have no idea whether they were better than Kohli or not. No, I have no idea how to judge. I think they are all pretty damn good there, and they are all international players. They know what they're doing. They do the same.
I think there is a certain technique that comes with like slip fielding, and I feel overall the quality of slip fielding has only deteriorated. Now I don't know. I can't provide the stats for that, unfortunately, because we don't record.
You're just doing in my day, Giri, now. In my day, like you don't know what they used to do in the slips. They used to catch.
Yeah, in my day, correct. Yeah, in my day, Giri. I like that. Okay, now the other hottest selection issue. Why the hell did they drop Kuldeep, man? Guy, like he came back into the team. He was bowling beautifully. He wins you a test, and then you drop him. Huh? Just drop him straight.
So I have no opinions either way, like Kuldeep getting picked or being dropped, because Unadkat I thought was a very good option anyways for this series. Before the beginning of the series, when they said that he's been flown in, I thought it was a very good move because I've been following his his Ranji Trophy career for the last 2, 3, 4 years, and he's been really, really good. He's stepped up a lot in subcontinental conditions with bowling with the red ball. So I was like, okay, I mean, that was a good, addition to the team, I thought. Kuldeep, I was surprised the way he bowled in the first test and he got like 8 wickets, I think. So I was surprised that he got that many wickets. I thought maybe he should have been played the second test, but I can't grudge Unadkat his place. So he got a chance and he bowled really well, I thought. So either ways, that was not such a big, huge difference that cost India anything in the end.
I mean, it did. No, it was a pitch that helped spinners, and they had them at 26 for 6, and then you let them get that lead. But you can
no,
say
that is
them,
right? You actually saw the 60 partnership that Litton and Taskin had, and a little bit for also, I think, with Nurul. I think Litton was playing with Nurul, but they were chancing their arm, dude. Yeah. I mean, they literally did not. The way the day began, the first session, when they were reduced to 70 for 4, they had no options against that bowling attack. I mean, India was giving them nothing. The only way that they could do anything was just take risks. And they took risks. And it was like, they started going for it. There was no other option. You can't, defend your way the way Axar and especially Axar was bowling. They couldn't do anything about Axar. And the only way they could handle it was just slog him. And a lot of slogs came out. It's the same way that, in the last 30, 40 balls, Ashwin also took risks. It came off. So it could have been, he started pulling Miraz from a very, this was not that short a delivery. It didn't rise that much as well. From very short positions, he started playing, aerially. It came off. So the same with Litton and Taskin, especially Taskin. So it was it was a move. It was a desperate move more than anything else, I felt, and good that they made a match out of it. That 145 turned out to be a bigger target than I thought.
No, but what do you think of the whole aspect of the fact that, there is this spinner, there's this bowler who has come back after like quite a while, and then he has found his rhythm. He's bowling well, he's getting wickets. Isn't there a case to be made that you just continue playing him? I mean, you would say
No,
that. Okay,
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. If Kuldeep were playing the second test, I would have been happier. But him being dropped and Unadkat being picked is not a bad replacement, is what I thought. Because Unadkat bowled really well. I mean, end of the day, they didn't cross 250 in both innings, right? we kept them to 227 and 231. If that is excellent bowling performance. So yeah. So I mean, it's unfair. I get it, but it was not that bad a move. Is my point.
This whole business of, is it unfair to Kuldeep? That's not the point. They're not. The team doesn't exist for the benefit of Kuldeep Yadav. The Kuldeep Yadav exists for the benefit of the team. No? They're trying to win a test match. They're not there to. On the one hand, you say you want to drop players because you think other people should get a chance. This is what.
No. I'm questioning the logic of playing three fast bowlers and two spinners on this pitch. That is all I'm questioning.
That was the reason they won, because they played three fast bowlers on this pitch. That was the difference between the two.
You mean to say if they played Kuldeep instead of Unadkat, they wouldn't have won this test?
No, probably they would have still won, but that's not the point. The point is that Bangladesh's spinners in this test match, in the second test match, I think they took 16 wickets at 21. And India's spinners took 9 wickets at 26. Right? But Bangladesh's fast bowlers took a 1 wicket for 115, and India's fast bowlers took 10 wickets in the test match. So that was really the difference. I mean, the point is that with the old ball, India had fast bowling to turn to, and that's why Bangladesh didn't make 300. That's why they made 227 and 230, and that's why India made 300 in the first innings, and that's why India was able to. Bangladesh didn't have anybody once the spinners became less effective and the ball got soft and old. Bangladesh had nobody to turn to, basically. Not much quality, and India had quality and depth. That was the difference between the sides. That India played three fast bowlers. I don't understand the controversy here. I mean, who else were they going to drop? They're not going to drop Axar Patel because he's the best bowler in the world in these conditions, I think. They're not going to drop Ashwin because he's just a great bowler. And both Axar Patel and Ashwin bat better than Kuldeep. So there's no case for playing Kuldeep ahead of either of them.
Let me just read out one small passage to show how unprecedented this is. This is in Cricinfo. There is a piece where Shiva Jayaraman and Sampath Bandarupalli have worked out that only 3 players before have been dropped after getting the Man of the Match award. Kevin Peterson, who was dropped for disciplinary reasons. Pat Simcox, who got the Man of the Match for his performance with the bat, and then he was dropped because they wanted to pick Klusner with the ball. And then Ijaz Faki, who was basically dropped because they wanted to play an extra spinner in the Bangalore test. So I'm just saying, this is not something that is extremely common. I mean, players are dropped, players are this, but you have a player who has a man of the match performance is very, very rare. So I'll just throw that out there. All right.
Yeah,
justice for Karun Nair. Never played after Karun.
The whole man of the match thing is a scam, man. I mean, come on, this is not serious.
There is a case to be made that he was the man of the match in that first test.
But when is there not a case to be made, man? When you have more than 11
When is there not a case to be made? Let me put it this way. KL Rahul was not the man of the match in any of these 2 tests.
But he's captain.
Okay,
This is why I'm saying, Macha, just throw off this Bangalore lobby and Mumbai lobby first of all from cricket, man. Unbearable. One Tamil guy has to come and bail them out in that World T20 and now in tests.
Yeah. Ashwin is only accidentally a Tamil guy. He's really in spirit, he's a Bombay guy.
What are you saying? That guy has seen the Tamil film Minnale 10,000 times. He's a bona fide Tamil guy. What nonsense.
Is there anything to say about KL Rahul? First of all, he's the captain of the team. Second of all, I don't understand what he's doing wrong. I wish I could know. I wish I could find out, but he doesn't even last long enough to figure out what he's doing wrong. Any observations on what he's doing wrong?
He plays Test cricket. He plays all formats, and then not only that, he bloody plays Test cricket, and that one Test match he's facing Anderson with the new ball, and the next Test match he's facing Taijul with the new ball. And then before that, he's facing Rabada with a new ball. It's not easy. It's the hardest time to bat. And yeah, openers have a miserable life.
And also I think he's also suffering from a bit of this, overwhelming perception. See, because he didn't do well in the World T20, and then you have this Test. And then there is this tendency to conflate the two, no? I mean, the reason why he might not be doing well in T20 may be completely different from the reason why he's not doing well in a Test. I won't be surprised if he doesn't play the next series. I mean, that if he's dropped for the next series, and that is also okay, because then he goes back and he scores a lot of runs and he comes back like Pujara. That is also fine. I mean, it's not like if you get dropped, it's like some criminal case against you or something. You just get dropped and then you come back.
They should have a criminal case against him. What are you talking about? This is the captain of Lucknow Super Giants who has been bought for like 77,000 crores. He can't bat in T20s. He can't bat in Tests. He wants to be the captain. What the hell, man? And then this guy comes and this cricketing view comes and says, "Oh, it's tough." Of course it's tough. It's Test cricket. That's why I can't play Test cricket. No.
So either he's good enough to play or he's not good enough to play. Which is it?
Right about now, I think, if Rohit Sharma comes back and Shubman Gill is there, maybe he should go back to domestic.
Right, but if that happens, will it be the Kuldeep type situation or will it be some other situation, or Siraj type situation, or what? I mean, obviously someone is going to be dropped, especially since our guys, they play 5 batsmen. That also, I think if they get a chance, they'll play 4. So,
you mean 5 batsmen plus Pant?
Yeah, right now it's 5 batsmen plus Pant. But I think their temptation is high when Jadeja comes back to play. Jadeja, Axar and Ashwin and 3 fast bowlers.
Oh, yeah. Because Jadeja has been one of your best batsmen in the last 2 years. You have to play him.
Yeah, exactly. So there's going to be even fewer spots for the batsmen. So the best thing about the Indian team and the reason why they are the best team in the world right now is that they have completely discarded the whole sort of put the batsman on the pedestal thing that used to go on. Batsmen making runs, we associated India with our, with us saving pace rather than some 11 players competing in a cricket match. That's what it is. When Virat Kohli gets out cheaply, or Virat Kohli averages 28 in over 20 Test matches, it's not just he's averaging 28 in 20 Test matches. It's the humiliation of him averaging 20 Test matches. We feel humiliated that he's doing that. And that's, I think, entirely our problem. It's not a cricket thing. The cricket thing is far more interesting and complicated, for which there's no audience. And for which, frankly, there's not many people to talk to. I mean, I think he's getting old. I think KL Rahul is also now not 22, 23, 24 anymore. So at this point, I don't know how much he's going to be able to keep switching between formats. And this year, he's played like mountains of fixtures. I think I looked at the figures. I think India have played like some 64 international fixtures this year. That's like an insane amount of cricket. They've used like something like 40 players. So some of it is granted because they are making up for COVID fixtures, which they committed to, and in the COVID era, they had to push them forward. But and also nowadays you have to play them because there are points for some World Cup qualification and stuff associated with those things, and of course TV contracts. So all of this stuff is going on, and all of these. I think generally they're trying to cobble together whoever they can get to fulfill these fixtures. And I think the same thing will happen for the Test matches because they've lost a lot of players. the real question about Australia is not what happens if everybody's fit. It's what happens if Bumrah and Jadeja don't come back.
Yeah, basically, if everybody's fit, then with Shreyas doing what he did in this series, I think the only question is between Gill and Rahul. Because Pujara 3, Kohli 4, Shreyas Pant, and then you have the rest. Ashwin, and if you play Ashwin, Jadeja, then you take a call on whether you play Axar or whether you play whoever else. So, I mean, and Kohli is not going to be dropped for Australia. I mean, if at all, that question will only come if he has a miserable 4 tests or something. So, I think it's pretty set. I don't think there's going to be any real selection shock or something that's coming up.
One of the reasons why Kohli and Pujara and all these people look so bad is that what has happened with DRS is that the way spinners bowl has also changed. You have all these left-arm spinners and off-spin bowlers who bowl really fast now, fast and flat and straight, and bowl at the stumps a lot. And actually, this is something interesting worth talking about. This is something that Ashwin doesn't do. Ashwin still is very old-fashioned in that sense. He still relies on drift and dip and, getting it to rip off the pitch and getting it to, bowling his straighter one and stuff like that. He's still trying to beat the bats. What has happened in the subcontinent, I think, is that, especially with Bangladesh and India, they've found that picking these fastest finger spinners who let the pitch do the work for them in the era of DRS is extremely effective. That's why you have Axar Patel and Ravindra Jadeja and all these different bowlers. That's why sort of Shahbaz Nadeem is like a fish out of water in these situations. Because he's
and Axar Patel is such a classic sort of fastish spinner of this time.
He's big, strong, tall, and the thing about the really, really weird thing about Axar Patel, unlike Ashwin, is that even though Axar Patel is a really tall guy, he bowls round arm a lot. He lowers his arm a lot because he wants the ball to skid. Whereas Ashwin is always bowling with a very high arm. Especially in Test cricket. So I find that to be quite interesting. And Bangladesh have got 3 bowlers like that. Shakib, Taijul, and Mehdi all bowl with a low arm. They get the ball to skid and they get the ball to zip off the pitch. And because they know that pad play is out. And what that has done is 2 things. One is that because pad play is out, batsmen are sweeping from the stumps a lot more. And that's making bowling on the stumps a much better proposition than it used to be. Because the stalemate is gone. So if the batsman takes a chance and it comes off, he gets a boundary. But if he doesn't, you get a LBW. So you can see it in the figures for the SLAs, slow left arm orthodox. The returns for that style of bowling have improved more than any other style of bowling since DRS started in 2009. And you can see, that's why sort of, this was something that Tendulkar and, VVS Lakshman and Rahul Dravid, they never had to contend with. This was also something that, even the, Atherton and Stewart and all the Jimmy Adams wouldn't survive today. Whereas back then, if you got a really good stride in and you had the bat and pad close together, then even if it was pad first, you got the benefit of the tout. And you don't get that anymore. That way of playing is out of the picture. It's not an option. The only way to play is to play with the pad in front of the bat. And that's very risky when the ball is misbehaving. So you have to either step out, which is hard because the bowling is fast and flat. And if you don't step, especially against these bowlers who are bowling to, exploit the pitch rather than try to beat you in the air. So you have to then step out when you don't really want to. Because you can't just keep padding because something is going to misbehave and hit you on the pad and you're going to be dead, right? So then you have to step out from time to time. And that's really hard because it's still, the bowling is still flat. And the bowler sees you coming and makes a little change and you're dead, basically.
And one of the things that in this test match especially, which was quite interesting, is I had always seen Axar as a bowler who was absolutely deadly on a wicket that took a bit of turn.
Yeah.
And deadly because he has this straighter one. And if batsmen are playing for turn, you have no chance against that straighter one. You're basically finished.
Yeah.
But in this test, it was interesting. I mean, I'll link a piece that Siddharth Monga also wrote. It was interesting how he was getting the ball to spin away, and he got like edges, the outside, beating the outside edge regularly. As in getting that edge, getting Mushfiqur stumped. I mean, this is not something that I have seen much of with Axar, especially when he's playing against all these Ahmedabad kind of pitches.
But that's what he does. No, that's what he's trying to do. That he's bowling for the pitch to do the work for him. He's just going to be absolutely metronomic, and like Mehdi and it's not easy to do. Not all bowlers can do it. Like I think Jack Leach tries to do it, but he's not as good at it as I think Derek Underwood would have been really, based on what they say about him, he was like this fast, flat, metronomic spinner. He would have been absolutely lethal in the DRS era, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I'm also thinking if India play Jadeja, Ashwin and Axar, and looking at that middle order of Pant, Shreyas, Jadeja, Axar, Ashwin, which
will leave you with what? Bumrah and Shami if they are fit, or someone Siraj,
Umesh for sure. I mean, I think with this performance, Umesh has, shown that he's still really good to have in these conditions.
He's always been insanely good in these conditions, like subcontinental conditions. Like last 4 or 5 years, he has like sub 20 average, I think, or at least 20 average. Like he's been really, really good in subcontinental conditions. So Umesh is, imagine he's the number 4 bowler. And then after him, there is Unadkat. So even if somehow Siraj and Shami and Bumrah can't make it, we still have 2 decent pacers who won't give batsmen, too many chances to score. And they are very, very experienced in bowling in these conditions. So bowling wise, I think India doesn't have much problems. And that is actually the major good news. Of course, you can always in this who should we drop, drama, which is good for entertainment, which is good for, nice banter and stuff like that. But if the bowling machinery starts getting wrecked, and that's when you have to be really, worried as a fan.
Let's talk about the greatest all-rounder ever, right? I mean, in the history of cricket of all time. Ashoka.
Of course, dude. Ashwin. How much times does he have to bail these guys out, man? I mean, now it is getting to a point where, he must be asking like extra salary and all. At this rate, he's doing overtime. He's, batting for Jadeja, who's not here, who's doing some election campaign somewhere, and posting on Twitter saying some shit. I don't know what. So this guy here, meanwhile, is like coming to bat at 7 down for 70 and saving the match.
And getting wickets and then getting on trolls from Sri Lanka.
Yeah, and one match he takes like 2 wickets. Suddenly people are all like, oh, this Ashwin is trying too many variations. T20 has spoiled his brain.
No, but that is the point, that also comes back to the earlier question about DRS. Has Ashwin adapted himself well enough to maximize his effect in the DRS era? I mean, he could,
yes.
Or is he bowling like in the way he was bowling pre-DRS and not getting as many returns as he could?
No, he has. He's actually better than Axar on that. I'll tell you why. Because you see, in most test matches, Axar and Mehdi and that type of bowler that we described earlier, in the first innings, they're not very effective. The best they can do is to keep the runs down. And Axar is very, very good at that. But he's not really good at taking wickets. Whereas Ashwin can take wickets in the first innings when it's not turning so much. So in the whole, I think Ashwin comes out ahead. Because he's got so much more ability. He's got so many more ways of taking wickets. And Ashwin does benefit from DRS. You can see his record against lefties. No, that's in large part to do with DRS.
And the variations that they keep talking about is his way of, testing out batsmen, man. It's not like he's doing variations for time pass, no. He's not doing, he's not bringing out like, I can bowl 6 different balls for the camera, no. He's not performative.
No, he's not performative for the camera, but I think he likes to try for himself.
Yeah, he wants to. He's testing.
What if I can get this ball to go in a circle?
For instance, I don't think Axar tries as much. I mean, that could also be down to ability. But I don't think Axar is trying as many variations as Ashwin. Well, in terms of variations, I mean, in terms of the balls itself. Obviously, Axar is varying in terms of where he's delivering the ball, how he's actually, the amount of revs he's doing, all that he's doing. But I'm saying in terms of the deliveries itself, I don't think Axar is varying that much.
One thing worth pointing out is that, you see, when we say spinning wickets, these wickets in Bangladesh are not like the spinning wickets we associate with in India, where, there's turn and bounce and there's a leg trap and, there's a gully and, the ball is popping up off the glove and, the extra bounce is constantly, testing the handle of the bat and the slice of the bat and, the dip is beating the bat. It's not that. It's basically beating the vertical bat at high speed. So it's not so much, guile. It's just relentless sort of speed. It's ironically sort of spinners being too quick for batsmen to adjust off the pitch.
Yeah, I mean, if you saw the number of balls that hit the splice of the bat, it's not like spinning way up away from the outside edge. It's actually hitting the bat, but it's hitting it at a place where it may pop up or where it may hit the edge.
It's a different kind of turning track.
Yeah, it's not like Ahmedabad versus England, where basically the English batsman's bat is like 1 foot away from the ball a lot of the times. So it's not that pitch. Yeah.
That had a little bit to do with the English batsmen. Okay, I mean, they were missing it by that much.
Yeah, okay, but that is also true. Yeah. Yeah, no. But Ashwin, bowling is one thing, but Ashwin's batting also, no? Like, it'll be funny if, again, when Jadeja comes, if Ashwin is again dropped for Jadeja in an away test at some point. But as of now, I think, his batting is playing such a big role in propping up that lower order. I mean, in this match, he batted at 9. That's because of the night watchman or night hawk, as they call these days, Unatkat. But even Ashwin batting at 8 is a great luxury to have for a team, man, especially with the top order faltering.
Yeah, he averages like 29 in first class. He averages like 26 in tests, over 3,000 runs. That tells you like he can handle himself, and that's a good stat for a number 8 batsman.
Yeah, he's made 5 test hundreds, no?
Yeah, I mean, he can play.
As many as Flintoff, as Wasim Jafar pointed out, as many test centuries as Flintoff and more wickets than Dale Steyn.
Look, Ashwin just completed the 3,000 run, 300 wicket double. Actually, he completed the 3,000 run, 400 wicket double also at the same time, because he already has more than 400 wickets. And it took him 88 test matches to do it. Now, Kapil completed the 3,300 double in 83 test matches. So he's just 5 test matches behind Kapil Dev. That's pretty extraordinary.
And he has 100 more wickets in that. I mean, 100 plus more wickets in that time.
He has 96 more wickets than Kapil Dev had.
96 wickets. Yeah. Yeah, no, that's extraordinary. I mean, I think, first of all, I don't think we sort of value of what having Ashwin and Jadeja at the same time means to the team. I mean, in the 90s, if we had even one of them with half that much ability, we would have taken them, man.
Speaking of his innings in this 4th innings here, decision to promote Axar Patel was a superb tactical choice by Rahul Dravid and KL Rahul. It was a decision made because, the 2 SLAs, the slow left-arm orthodox bowlers for Bangladesh, were proving to be really, really hard to play. And this guy, what's his name? Mehdi was also proving really hard to play because of the of how well they were bowling. And basically, the one weapon India had was a very, very tall left-hander. And they put him in, and it worked. He kept them at bay long enough for the ball to get old so that there was at least one stand that was still in play after 25, 30 overs. That was enough. Because 145 is basically a one stand total. You have one stand, you get to 145 in a test innings. And the probability of Bangladesh winning was basically that out of the 8 players India had who were going to make runs, that is 7 stands. What is the probability that all 7 stands stop? That was the probability of Bangladesh defending 145. And on these conditions, it was a close run thing, it turned out to be. But that India survived is because KL Rahul and Rahul Dravid promoted Axar Patel. So if you are tactically minded, you should give them credit for that.
Okay, I get it. And yes, we will give them credit for it. I think we have covered quite a bit.
We will give them credit, and then we will drop all of them.
No, we will give them credit, and then we will say that this 145 should have been chased for 2 wickets, and this should not even have come down to it. Anyway, that we will talk about later. I think we have covered quite a lot in this podcast. As I said, the second test was nice and riveting, and I'm hoping that Bangladesh continue this kind of form and can win tests more regularly at home. Anyway, thank you so much for joining. 81allout.com is our website. You can find us on all the podcasting platforms. Please leave a rating and a review. It helps people find us. We are on Twitter at 81allout, and you can tweet us with your feedback. You can send the feedback to our website. And you can also support us by via Coffee. That is ko-fi.com/81allout. There you can chip in with whatever amount you want. You can put in like a monthly subscription. And all of you who are doing that, we are very thankful for your generosity. You can also support us by buying some of the books a couple of the books we have republished. One is called War Minus the Shooting by Mike Marquisee. The other is Cricket Beyond the Bazaar by Mike Coward. So all these links will be in the show notes. And thank you again for joining. And we'll see you for the next episode in about 10 days.
India have won the series. They're going to get back for 2.